A campaign for the charity Quit UK inserted pieces of paper that were roughly 5 by 8 inches in size. People would typically find them after a few hours. Where were they placed, and what two-word phrase was at the top? I'll say that again. A campaign for the charity Quit UK inserted pieces of paper that were roughly 5 by 8 inches in size. People would typically find them after a few hours. Where were they placed, and what two-word phrase was at the top?
You haven't said smoking. Is it smoking?
My first thought was smoking, but...
Yeah, Quit UK is an anti-smoking charity.
Yeah, okay.
So you put them inside the packet of cigarettes, but why would you take your while to find
Because
them?
it has to be folded up, because like a 5 by 8 inches, is that like an A4 piece of paper? Hold up.
Hannah, I sense you're querying size of the measurement again.
Is this 5? That's about, maybe, is that like 8 inches?
5 by 8 is about A5 size. It's smaller than that.
You're hunting for a bit of A4. 5 by 8 is smaller than A4.
I appreciate the sacrifice of a piece of paper there. Maybe a little smaller than that.
And this was folded up inside a cigarette packet. Do you know what? This is ringing bells to me. I feel like I've heard about this.
This is ringing bells as
and
well.
it says, "You scumbag, stop smoking now." Like, you're going to die. I don't know. Like, anti-smoking campaigns are super aggressive.
But that wouldn't take you a couple of hours if you were a smoker, because you would smoke and you would notice it straight away.
Maybe it's hidden, like you have to have smoked through all of it. Like, it's right at the bottom. You have to have smoked all of them.
It's at the bottom.
And you have to have smoked through 20 cigarettes.
Is it a picture of some decaying lungs and it says your lungs and this gross picture?
Wait, is it 2 words, did you say, is printed on it?
Yeah, 2 words.
Quit now. Quit UK.
By the way, we should absolutely put this in a episode that had a load of Europeans or Americans, because they would have made a load of Brexit jokes by now. There's a whole separate alleyway that our question writers hoped people would go down here, but didn't happen.
My first thought was smoking and my second thought was Brexit.
Yeah.
So.
You just summed up the entirety of Britain in 2016 there.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, I don't know. Is it in the bottom of a cigarette pack?
No, it's nowhere near a cigarette pack.
I think were they not slipping it into people's jackets and briefcases on the train and stuff?
Oh my God, were they putting it in like kids' school bags, and then the parents would find it later and it would be like, "Mommy, I don't want you to die," or something horrendous like that. You know how all the anti-speeding ads now are all like focused on the kids' perception of the parents speeding? Is it anything to do with that?
It's not, but you're right. This has an air of mischief about it.
Mischief?
Quite like angry, ranting, telling people off mischief, but it still falls into that.
Ooh, I like me some mischief.
I think I've oversold the mischief quantity of this. I couldn't think of a better word than mischief.
So people sneak and get into places?
Yes.
Tom, what should we be focusing on? Where they're found or what the words are?
Size of the paper.
Oh, right. I was focusing on that.
5 by 8. Ooh.
5 by 8 inches. It's actually, it's a little smaller than A5.
Was it tucked under car windscreen wipers? People often put flyers there, don't they? No.
Definitely inserted here, not tucked.
I was going to say vinyl record, but no, not if it's recent. Okay.
You are sort of branching slightly closer with that.
With like music.
Well, not necessarily music, but that... if you draw a line from cigarette packets to the answer, I'll tell you that CDs and LPs are closer.
A book.
A book.
A book.
8 by 5 is your normal size for a paperback book.
And so people sneak in these notes into people's... in books and just bookshops and libraries and stuff?
Yep. Bookshops, coffee shops, vending machines, book clubs, anything like that.
And they would find it later and it would say...
And it would say 2 words.
Stop smoking.
The worst thing about this is I've heard about this.
Why might it take a few hours for people to find it?
Would they remove the last page of the book and replace it with...
The end.
Correct. The end.
Wait.
Yeah, Mike, they didn't remove the last page of the book. They didn't replace it. They weren't quite that evil. But next to the final page of the book was an anti-smoking ad snuck in there with "the end," saying that if you smoke, your story will end sooner.
They are aggressive, these
Yeah,
anti-smoking
they really are.
campaigns.
I feel like I
are.
oversold the mischief on that one.
I mean, I think that's reasonably mischievous.
I like, Mike, how you stayed out of that question, then just dove in precisely with the answer at the end. Like, congratulations.
I think the end was was Hannah's, really. Like the actual words, that's the hard bit. Have you guys heard about the crazy spoilers for Harry Potter novels?
What? Like people sneak in, like Dumbledore dies, like...
No, so like a bunch of books got like somehow leaked 24 hours before the sale. Then people would speed read it, hop in their car, drive past like Walmart with thousands of people are queuing with like megaphones and just blurt out like these people are die-hard Harry Potter fans.
I've heard about this.
Blurt out the ending and it would just be complete chaos.
I feel like that's where you get past mischief and just
That's
into
not
being
mischief.
a dick.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not mischief.
Scott Mills on Radio 1 did this every year after about the fourth Harry Potter book on the radio. He'd be like, hey, we've been leaked an advanced copy. Let me read you the last page. And Harry was dead. And he'd do this joke like five years in a row, and people would write into Ofcom and complain. And he's like, we do it every year.
That's mischief. That falls into mischief.
That's mischief.
Yes, it's the end. And it wasn't quite the last page of the book. It's not like they ripped that out, Mike, but it was near the end, about sort of 15% from the end of the book. They would sneak in an extra page that said the end and a warning that said, if you smoke, statistically, your story will end 15% before it should.
Only 15%. It's not that bad.
It's not that.
You know, all the really old people I know are just like chain smokers their whole life. All the evidence I see for smoking is just like, yeah, I just don't think it's that bad.
Do you want us to leave that in the show, Mike? Because I just feel like that's going to come back to haunt you at some point. Mike Boyd, smoking. It's okay, kids.
The beginning.
I think drinking is definitely, it's got to be worse.
I mean, socially, because smoking doesn't change your behavior, but drinking, anyway.